Welcome back to What She Said. This is an emergency pod. I knew some breaking news was on the way, but I didn't think it had anything to do with basketball. So I was planning to do a follow up regarding Luka's trade to the Lakers, but I thought it was going to be tomorrow. So welcome back to What She Said. This is an emergency pod because I want to say it's breaking news. It's really old information coming back to a wider audience. Therefore, for most of us, it's breaking news. So we talked about how shocking, jaw-dropping it was for Luka to have been traded, right? And we had a podcast, obviously after it happened. And what did I say? This is why I named this podcast What She Said. I said, something is going on. And it's not just the poor conditioning. It's the part where they said poor conditioning and whatever came after the and is why we're on this emergency pod right now. And I knew sooner or later, if big box media, sports media didn't talk about it, it will come out. And not only is the information coming to the forefront to everybody, it's not new to the Dallas Mavericks organization. In fact, when Luka was 23, articles were written about it. There were discussions about it. And the team was urged to move away from Luka. Now, I was trying to figure out, now, how long has it been since Mark Cuban sold the Dallas Mavericks? Trying to see if maybe that has something to do with it. But it seems that the part that comes after and, poor conditioning and, bad habits off the field. It's also stated a different way. It says of lack of professionalism on and off the field. And I'm wondering if some of this is coming out now because the organization is taking such heat. Maybe they didn't anticipate the backlash to what was a trade of a star player who could do no wrong, being everything that the Mavericks needed to get to the next level, right? So, seemingly so, that was the case. That's not the case. That's not the case. In fact, articles starting to pop out, you're going to hear strange behavior reported, lack of professionalism off the court, everything after and, poor habits and, poor conditioning and, everything after the and also is what's leading to the poor conditioning. So what is it? You know, when they don't tell you, your mind starts to go and you're like, okay, so what is it? You know it's something. You know it's something huge. You know it's something serious. But you didn't hear anything in the news. You didn't hear anything locally reported. But you knew that the organization fired people leading up to Luka's trade. They fired a director of like sports and physical health. They fired a trainer. They fired another person. And all of the firings were done out of desperation. These were people around Luka and the organization. They fired those people. That's at least 3 people. So I don't know what's going to happen to them now because, I mean, unless you're blaming them for Luka's poor conditioning and everything that came after the and off the court, poor habits. So we have at least 3 people fired from the organization. 2 years ago, articles are written about this. The team was encouraged to move away from Luka 2 years ago. So essentially what has happened is the Mavericks grew tired. They grew tired of the scenario with Luka and not just his conditioning, because we know other people that had conditioning issues, but they still are in the original organization. So you know, to move a star, something's wrong. Well, professional athletes like LeBron, anybody trying to get to the next level, they take care of their bodies. What you typically don't see, that you're seeing, that's been a part of Luka's life that we've known about since for 2 years now, at least at minimum 2 years, drinking, smoking, and hookah. So it said that all of this was photographed publicly. Now people are starting to come out about it. There's cigarettes here. And people are like, oh, 2 years ago, oh, one cigarette ain't gonna kill him. Athletes and cigarettes don't go together. Then it's hookah. Athletes and hookah don't go together, depending on what's in the hookah for sure. And then it's beer. Oh, one beer here or there. It's not just one beer here or there. If it's just one beer here or there, he wouldn't have came in at 260 when he's supposed to be 245. And he missed 27 games, 11 of them trying to lose weight because you got to lose weight. So everything you're supposed to do to be a professional athlete, it's been reported that it's not new that he's been doing. In fact, when he was reportedly had been drinking beer back then, there was a photograph and the organization knew about it. So they tried to cover it up. And of course they got busted because the photos have timestamps. It was taken the day before a game. It was like a playoff game or it was a game. The point is, you're not necessarily in poor condition because you don't work out. You're in poor condition because cigarette smoking, hookah indulgence, and beer. Now that's just what you know. And that's not new information. It's 2 years old. So now they're tired of it. They grew tired of it. And they realized, they understood. They always knew, having a professional athlete to get to the top of its game at its peak, drinking, smoking, and hookah don't go together. And if you have those three, there's probably other vices as well. But that's exactly what they are, vices. So it's not what people thought. I did a poll to check to see how people felt about the trade, right? And my question was, let me see if I can get to it. I asked the question with several reasons as to why Luka could have been traded, right? So let's see. All right, we're gonna try to get to it. All right, let's see. We're almost there. I didn't think to pull it up, but the poll I didn't put in about vices. I didn't because it didn't come out at the time. But I said to the podcast, What She Said podcast family. I said it. I said there's something. I said I'm pretty sure this has everything to do with the off the court habits that they put out there. Because see, here's the thing. When you say somebody has poor conditioning and off the court habits, you're essentially saying that they're not willing to give up their off the court habits. That's essentially what you're saying. So here's the poll. It says reasons for Luka's trade to the Lakers. 1, I said boost viewership and NBA ratings. Secondly, I said avoid a max contract payout by the Mavericks. Third was LeBron is retiring soon, so Luka is the star of the future. And lastly, I said because AD and Kyrie together, the duo, means that the Mavericks get a trip to the NBA Finals. Okay? So only 5% of the people said it's to boost ratings. They didn't believe that. They didn't believe it had anything to do with NBA viewership. And this is like, I guess, some type of stunt, publicity stunt. So it's not. So only 5% agreed with that. Then it says avoid max contract payout by the Mavericks. 63% of the people believe that Luka was traded for the sole purposes of they just trying to get out of paying him. Which, if that was the case, he would have lawyered up by now. And he might possibly have a case, but the conditioning and off the field habits is a problem. Then it says LeBron is retiring soon. Actually, 26% of the people, 28% of the people believe that Luka was traded because LeBron is retiring soon. And then AD and Kyrie trip to the NBA Finals, only 5% believe that. So most of the people didn't believe the NBA ratings or didn't believe the trip to the finals. People really believe, the perception out here is that Dallas did this just to avoid paying Luka the money that technically he earned with all of his accolades. That's his original team. And it cost him $125 million. So, instantly I said, hold up. $125 million. I'm like, you don't let anybody get away with costing you $125 million without a fight. And I was like, the look on his face, he looked sad. AD didn't look sad. He didn't look sad. He just like, okay, I'm gonna just go with the flow. But the perception is that people really believe that this is just so that Dallas doesn't have to pay Luka. And that's not it. That might be, of course, they don't want to pay him because of what they have known for at least for the last 2 years. Luka's only 25. This came out 2 years ago. James is in the comments. He says, these owners are not going to get food like Steve Ballmer did with Kawhi Leonard. Nothing Luka has done warrants a suspension or an investigation. Instead, the Lakers still traded for him after knowing the history. Now, I agree with that. But I want you to think about this, James. I agree with that. If it was just the poor conditioning, I'm like, that's false. But look at how long this has been going on. It's been 2 years. 2 years since it was reported publicly. It's already an article. I'm looking at an article right here from it said August 25th, 2022. Guess what the title of the article is? Should Dallas Maverick fans worry about Luka's off the court habits? That was in 2022. This is 2025. That's 3 years. It'll be 3 years in August. And it actually talks about the beer drinking. It talks about the cigarette smoking. It talks about the hookah. So when you have a professional athlete and you have to pay him $125 million to get you to the future, and you've been struggling since at least 2022 with drinking, hookah, and cigarettes, you know what cigarettes does to the body. People said, oh, Michael Jordan smoked a cigar before every game. I don't know if cigars have nicotine in them. I just know cigarettes and athletes don't generally go together. Not when you're trying to get to the next level. And then beer drinking, smoking, hookah, and you show up out of shape. Now, it's true. When he was holding up his Lakers jersey, I saw the picture. I'm like, he don't look out of shape. And that's how I knew it wasn't just the poor conditioning. It's the part that comes after and. Lack of professionalism on and off the court. That's one. Poor conditioning and off the court habits. It's really the off the court habits they're worried about because they can't control it. You can control him trying to maintain his weight, but you can't control his cigarette smoking. You can't control his hookah indulgence. You can't control his beer drinking. You can't. And they know what that does. So they're like, look, we're fighting you on your weight. You coming in overweight. He missed 27 games. 11 due to them trying to get back in shape. Now that's costly. And people are like, well, why would they go get AD? He's 6 years older and he's injury prone too. Because it's not about just the conditioning. It's the off the field habits, the off the court habits. I told you that's what it was. I said, it's this off the court habit that I'm taking a red pen and I'm circling it because I know that that's the problem. But here's the thing. It's not new. The organization tried to cover for it. It even said it's actually already published. They were told about his drinking, the beer. It was photographed. It was sent to the organization. The organization said it's an old photo. Somebody came back and said, no, it's not. This is the timestamp. It's doing the day before a game or just before a game. So it's not new. It's not new. And it's not just the conditioning. Because when you saw him at that Lakers jersey, he didn't look out of shape. It's the off the court lack of professionalism and bad habits. That's why he was traded. That's why they pulled the plug. They've been dealing with this. if you were doing everything you were supposed to do and you didn't miss 11 games to try to get in shape, or 27 games and 11 of them were to try to get in shape, you know you could sue. You know you could go, look, I did everything. They just trying to breach a contract. He could sue. I don't see him lawyering up. In fact, I think him being traded to the Lakers, knowing that that's not a good fit with LeBron, they have till August to get him under contract, was to wake him up, was to shake him up, because they already fired 3 people, lost their jobs out of desperation with them trying to get to this man. The director of like physical health, a trainer, and somebody else. 3 people lost their jobs before Luka was traded. That's at least 3 that we know of. This is not a new occurrence. They tried to remedy the situation, and now the truth is coming out. As an athlete, you can't run around drinking, doing hookah and beer, and everybody know about it and expect to keep your job, especially when an organization tried to cover for you and you still doing it. They didn't pay him because they see him as a liability to where they want to go. And eventually, hookah, cigarettes, and beer will make you a liability. So I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them at all. Now the question is, what makes the Lakers organization think they can curtail these vices? Because that's what these are. These are vices. What makes the Lakers think? What, is LeBron getting ready to be his chaperone? Is LeBron getting ready to be his mentor? Is this a last-ditch effort before he bounces from team to team and out of the league? And y'all are looking at him 30 under 30 trying to figure out what happened to him? I think the reason why the truth is coming out, there's articles out there that he's seen smoking, seen drinking a 6-pack. I'm like, see, big, you're not just having no one beer. So when that article asked, should the fans be worried about his off the court habits in 2022, the answer to the question should have been yes. So let's see what we have here. James said Mark Cuban was on Club Shay Shay stating Luka was on point to get the most money ever. But who's going to pay somebody with that type of, I mean, he missed 27 games. 11 of them was to try to get back in shape. And then it has known vices, cigarette smoking, beer drinking, and hookah. That's just 3 that you publicly know about. I'm not going to say that's the only 3. That's just the 3 that you know about. Why would I pay somebody $125 million more when I know that there's no upside there? And I have to I could see if he was in tip-top shape. I'm sure there's probably athletes out there who smoke cigarettes. It might be, maybe their nerves bad, but I'm pretty sure they probably bought themselves to camp or to whatever they go training, and they was in shape, and nobody had to prod them to get in shape, or they didn't have to miss 11 games to get in shape. You're a hindrance to your team if you have to miss 11 games to get in shape. There's no excuse for that. That means you putting all the potential that they paid you for, you rolling the dice, and you don't care when you show up out of shape. If you got a problem where you have these kind of vices and this is how you have to live, but then you want $350 million, wouldn't you at least show up in shape and keep your vices private? So yeah, he was going to make a whole lot of money, but should they really invest in him like that, knowing they've been struggling with him to get his weight in check, to get his conditioning, cigarette smoking and conditioning? Come on now. You know what cigarettes do to your lungs? Hookah, same thing to your lungs. And beer, well, that explains the weight. It says change in the script. So essentially, Duke is saying they just changing the script. All of this is scripted. They just changing the script. It said the Mavs should have done like the Pelicans did with Zion Williamson and put off the court incidents in his contract. The question is, why didn't they? That's the question. Why didn't they? They've been knowing about this since at least August of 2022. There's a whole article asking, should the fans be worried about his off the court? Unless you are trying to say his off the court behavior was okay until it came time to write him a big fat check. If it was okay, would 3 people have had to lose their jobs? 3 people were fired. trying to get this guy's conditioning together. It seems like they were willing to overlook his vices. But how do you overlook somebody's vices when they're coming to work unprepared, when they have to be out 11 games because they overweight? 9 times out of 10, their vices are leading to their weight gain. Beer, weight gain, beer belly. Come on. And it seems like they were willing to overlook it as long as it didn't interfere with on the court play, and it does. Coming in at 260 when you're supposed to be 245. And you seen out in public smoking, drinking, doing hookah. It says, yeah, they should have put those incentives in his contract, but I'm like, why didn't they? I don't know. It said you can be traded before the deadline, which is All-Star Weekend this month. Yeah, it can, but I'm still like you. Why didn't they put, if they've been knowing about this since at a minimum of 2022, then why didn't they do something? Maybe it's nothing they could do. But the point is, he got traded because of his off the field activities that negatively affected his conditioning. Cigarette smoking and being in tip-top physical condition don't go together. Beer drinking combined with cigarette smoking negates your physical health. And you got to run up and down the court. You showing up, you got to miss 11 games to get in shape. That's why he got traded. And that's why didn't nobody know about this. See, people didn't know about this because then everybody will be talking about it. But you know why we're talking about it? They already knew about it. We're talking about it because they got so much blowback. So much blowback from the fan base that they're like, you know what? We just better go ahead on and talk about it. But here's the thing. It's been public information. Talked about in articles asking, should the fans be worried about Luka's off the court habits? And you know what the article said? One cigarette doesn't hurt anybody. One beer didn't hurt anybody. It tried to excuse it away and say that Michael Jordan smoked a cigar before a game. I don't know if this is true or not, but it tried to excuse it away. It tried to excuse the hookah and everything. And here we are. So you knowing about this for 2 years. It's been public information since 2022. Why they cut the cord now? Because they tired of dealing with it. Because it's getting worse and worse and worse. We talked about this. Personal stuff, personal-ish, creeps into the professional. This is exactly what I was talking about. The things that athletes have going on in their personal lives will eventually encroach onto the professional. And here we are with Luka. And people ready to burn down the arena they play in, metaphorically speaking. This is why we now know the truth. Because we could have knew about this before they made the trade. They didn't say anything. They didn't say anything because they've been knowing, going all the way back to 2022 and probably before. Hey, Gracie, how you doing? Missed you earlier. See, we having an emergency pod tonight following up to Luka's trade. And it seems like the conversation wouldn't go away. And Big Box Media was not going to touch this subject. Stephen A just framed it like this. He said, I know if somebody cost me $125 million, I'm not going to just let it go like that. Exactly. And you can't fight it if you're wrong. Now, he has a leg to stand on because he's been doing this going back to 2022, and they must have been cool with it. They only talking about his conditioning, which is why he said it was motive. The conditioning was motive, but what led to the poor conditioning? Is it the cigarettes? Is it the beer? Is it the hookah? And anything else? So I told y'all, it was everything that came after poor conditioning and everything following the and, circling the off the field habits. I knew it was the off the field habits. And the fact that they couldn't say, or they chose not to say what it was, told me that it was serious. It says, Duke says, let's see. Mark who? Mark Williams just now. I don't know who that is. Dalton somebody for Mark Williams. Was it a trade? But guys, that was it. That essentially was it. We talked about this a few days ago. I know I said off the field habits is what that raising the eyebrow. They could have said what it was. They chose not to. They're coming back and saying what it was because the fan base is upset because everybody's talking about this. And people have shifted from, did LeBron know or not? Well, here's what I'm going to say about that. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. This happened in secret because they knew people would not understand why Luka was being traded, because most people outside of probably the Dallas area or didn't read that article, most people didn't know about the vices. Those are vices. Maybe not hookah. Depends on what's in it. Beer and smoking, them two together, that's not a good combination. Not for somebody that needs to be in tip-top shape. Those are vices. So vices, the vices and the inability to control them or to put them away or to stop is what got him traded. And I guess the Lakers maybe feel like they can somehow, maybe they think changing his geographical location would help. Maybe they think somebody in LA could help. I don't know how you go from Dallas to LA and walk away from your vices. LA gives me the impression, it's Tinseltown. It's, it's glitz and glamour and that high pressure, high fast paced lifestyle. I don't know, what is the reason for the indulgence in hookah? What's in the hookah? If it's also, cigarettes as well as beer. Who knows the reason behind the vices in the first place? I don't see how LA is going to fix that. So like I said, this could have been the 120, you not getting that 125 million, that hits you in your pockets. You just bought a house in Dallas for over $12 million. That's going to hit you in your pocket. Now you're going to go find probably a more expensive one in Los Angeles. You didn't get a choice in the matter. It's like a wake-up call. And maybe the wake-up call is, if you don't stop whatever it is you're doing off the court that's causing you poor conditioning and on the court issues, because it said lack of professionalism on and off the court. If you don't stop the behavior, the Lakers is not the last stop. And by the time he gets to be 30 for 30, he's going to be a 30 under 30. And y'all not going to have to wonder what happened to him. You're going to know. And the only reason they're telling you is because there was so much blowback. And I said it, when things don't make sense, wait 5 minutes. Just wait 5 minutes and the truth will come out. And here we are. So now he has to fight against this type of information coming out about him. This affects endorsements. This affects his next contract. This affects any extension. This affects his money. This affects his reputation. But if all of this is true, and it's been out there for at least since 2022, and nobody refuted it, and Dallas tried to hide it and got busted, which meant they knew about it, this is going to be an expensive. It's not just for him. It's costly. It's costly to his reputation. It's going to be costly for his endorsements. It's going to be costly to his next contract. If you lost 125 million on this contract, how much you think you're going to lose on the next one when people learn, not just the organization, but the fans learn that you drink, smoke, indulge in hookah? That's going to be expensive. So to me, now that we know what was behind and off the field habits, lack of professionalism on the court and off the court, now that we know what's behind that, it makes sense. And maybe we can stop talking about this now. Let's see. It said yes. No, it's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. So I know y'all like, man, she late. I'm late because I knew some breaking news was coming down the pipeline. I just thought it was on the football side of things. But I wanted to follow up with Luka tomorrow. But since it started to, when I went back, and you know what's funny? When I typed in, I was in Google, right? I typed in, what off the court habits? Guess what popped up? Does Luka have? So I'm not the only one. The point is, it's getting out. It's getting out. So somewhere between right now and sunrise and noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, it'll be out there. It'll be out there. And he may refute it, he may not. But the point is there's evidence. It's evidence that the Mavs tried to cover And the Mavs, and see what this is what happens when you try to cover up vices. They just get bigger and louder. And now everybody knows. Everybody knows what's going on with him, and everybody knows that they knew. So that's it. So people say Zion Williamson's agent somehow got his weight issue in check. And I don't know, maybe James, they put some type of incentives in his contract. But yesterday, when we were talking about this the other day, somebody put in the chat, Zion Williamson's agent got his weight issue together. So I don't know. I guess I would have to do research to find out what that looks like. But the moral of the story is when something blockbuster like this happens, that just is unfathomable, doesn't make any sense. Luka's all this, all that. It was due to make X amount of money. Quite naturally, the first thought is, they just didn't want to pay him. I'm like, the fact that they traded him told me something was wrong. And I knew once I read it had to do something with off the field issues. I said, okay, it's the off the field issues. And now we know what the off the field issues are. So I just hope that he realizes that this was a very expensive. You got to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Can you really expect people to pay you $350 million and go forward with you like that if these are your vices? Even when they tried to help you and fired people to try to help you, that's a whole nother category right there, So, well, that's it, guys. I really came on here to talk about that. I felt like it was something that needed to be said because people are really scratching their head, trying to figure out what happened. That they're really thinking the perception matters. And the perception is that the Mavericks organization did not want to pay him, so they just did him dirty. That's what people thought. But now the truth is coming out about his off the field habits. So that's it, guys. Do y'all have anything to say? If not, I'll say good night. I will see y'all tomorrow at today. I will see y'all tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If there's any more to say about Luka, we'll talk about it on the 8 p.m. Eastern, what she said, daily live stream. But I think now that the truth about his off the court habits have made it to the forefront of everybody's, forethought, I think we're done with this. All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thank y'all for hopping on late with me. I appreciate it. Gracie, thank you. James, thank you. Both of y'all are members. Thank y'all for coming back. Duke, thank you for hanging out with us. Hopefully you will come back and hang out with us again every day at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, y'all. I'm out. Have a good night.